Welcome back to Feeding the Family with Dr. Kristin. Welcome to our Season 3 premiere. We are live today celebrating Family Meals Month at the Stonybrook HyVee. Welcome to Feeding the Family with Dr. Kristin, where we help you navigate the challenges of feeding your family and learn about the role food plays in our health and relationships. Feeding and food relationships can be stressful, confusing, and even destructive. I'm Kristin Saxena, a pediatrician and mother of 4 who's been researching and sharing what I've learned about feeding for over 10 years. In this podcast, I'll share my experience and expertise to help our kids and ourselves with everyday survival tips for real parents. This podcast is about progress, not perfection. So let's get started. Well, welcome to our very first live audience recording of the Feeding the Family podcast. My name is Kristin Saxena. I am a pediatrician. I'm a mom. I have 4 kids, and I'm an Omaha native. I host the Feeding the Family podcast, and on the podcast, we just talk a lot about kind of the struggles that people, families face in feeding their kids. It seems very simple, but it can be something that can be very stressful. And so it's something we address on the podcast, and it was something I was super excited to partner with Amanda here. She is a dietitian here at HyVee, and it is Family Meals Month. So we were so excited to kind of bring this event and hopefully be able to lend our expertise and also just kind of a listening ear to answer you guys' questions about how do we address the issue of kind of getting dinner on the table for our families every day.
Absolutely, and I'm so thankful to be here. So thank you, Dr. Kristin, for having me. As a registered dietitian with HyVee, this is also one of my passions, so I feel like we have collaborated so wonderfully together because I think we both have a mission to help families just feel more comfortable at the dinner table. I also am, I'm a mom. I have 3 children myself, and I struggle with dinner time as well. So we're gonna have some quick, easy meals for you guys tonight, some quick, easy ideas, just to help you feel more comfortable in the kitchen and just help feed not only your family, but also yourself.
Yeah. And so I kind of just quick wanted to, because I even know, even when you guys came in and I said, this is about family meals, I can see always, like, there's always this sort of like tension where it's like, oh, that's like a point of stress for me. Because I think as parents, you want to do so well for your kids, and it seems so simple, but it's hard. It's hard to make it happen the way that you want it to happen every day. And so and Family Meals Month seems like kind of a weird thing to sell. I mean, I know there's like a month and a day for everything, literally, but Family Meals Month seems weird. But actually, it's something that I'm kind of obsessed with family meals, and I think meeting Amanda, she is too. And the reason is because there are so many benefits to the act of actually eating together as a family. And we've talked about the food, and even more important than the food, honestly, is just the act of eating together. And I nerd out about the research on this, and literally just the act of sitting together, sharing food, facing each other without distractions is correlated with more benefits than I have time to even talk about with you guys today. But honestly, like, the research shows kids that eat with their families, they do better in school, they have better health profiles, they're less likely to get involved in drugs and other kind of destructive behavior. They are more resilient, have better self-esteem, and parents and kids alike tend to have better mental health profiles, better nutrition profiles. They eat more fruits and vegetables. And it's all just based on not so much asking what they ate, it's just this simple act of eating together. And so my mission really, because if I could do one thing, as a doctor, if somebody asked me, like, what's the one thing you would do for health in America, it would actually just be to get people to sit down and eat together. Because I know the health and wellness benefits that just come from that. Even if it is, like you said, like fast food, burger and fries, then sit down and just eat it together, because it seems silly almost, like, does this really matter? But that check-in point, that togetherness point, it does so much for the kids and adults alike that I'm totally dedicated to helping you guys figure out, like, meet yourself where you are. How can we do more of this? So part of that too, I think, is just you need a little plan to help you out. You need it to be easy and not overwhelming. And so I'm super excited to get in the kitchen today with Amanda, and she's gonna give us some tips on, like, what is simple stuff that I can do, feel like a winner, throw together this easy dinner, feel like it's healthy for me, it's healthy for my kids, but it's doable on a weeknight. And I also am super excited to get you guys involved. Like, this is a This is a forum where I just want to hear from you guys. What are your questions about cooking, about feeding kids, about feeding yourselves? What are some shortcuts I can use? There's no like off limits questions. This is a safe space, a guilt-free zone, all of it.
Perfect. That's good. Everything that Dr. Kristin just said is literally in my heart with my passion of family meals. So you say everything that I believe.
I get really
I just
emotional
love
about it.
I do too. And the act of just eating together. And I think oftentimes I get families come to me and they're overwhelmed with the idea of they think they're messing up their kids, and they think that if they can't have this gourmet meal every night, that they're doing harm for their children and their families, and that's not the case. We're going to start simple, as we talk about a lot. Starting simple and just having that togetherness is amazing.
I love it.
And it can be breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and snacks even. It doesn't have to be just that dinner meal.
I think that's important too, because we say dinner a lot, but that's not like realistic for every family, right? Like sometimes that's not the time of day that really works well. Breakfast, it doesn't really matter. It's just that act of being together.
Absolutely. So should we cook?
We should get in the kitchen.
Right. Very good.
Well, what are we cooking today, Amanda?
All right, we are going to make a frozen yogurt bark.
Yum.
Which is great for all parts of the day. Dessert, breakfast, snacks. It's so delicious, and it makes a big batch, and so you can save it then for future, times you need to have a little treat.
So is that like, can you eat it right out of the freezer?
Yes.
Oh, sounds delicious.
And it's nutritious, and you can actually make it really much your own. So for example, we're using raspberries today, but if you don't like raspberries, you could use kiwi. We're going to put coconut on it. If you don't like that, you can change it up. So it's kind of fun, also a great recipe to get kids involved, because then they can really touch and feel, and that's a good place to start with kids. Just getting used to cooking is just getting them in the kitchen, smelling, tasting, touching, all those things.
I love it. Are we going to bring
All
our friends?
Yes, so come on up, girls. I have two lovely helpers today, and we have some aprons for you that say HyVee Little Chef on them. Thanks. So you are official.
Official in the kitchen. Do you guys like to cook?
I love cooking. I'm kind of good at it. So says my mother.
Nice.
She could be lying.
Oh, that's great, though.
Well, I actually think that your mother's so excited about it, is I always think that's one of the good benefits of getting your kids in the kitchen early, because it does eventually pay off. They start making you delicious food, right? Like I have a 14-year-old that finally did. Your grilled cheese is better? What's the secret?
Butter.
Yeah.
Oh, good. All right, both of you can kind of sit around here. So I will kind of tell you what we're going to do, and then we'll do it, okay? And then we'll get some gloves on, and we'll make sure everything is nice and clean. So this recipe, we are going to use your HyVee Greek yogurt. This is the vanilla flavor. Now, again, you could change it up. You can use the blueberry, strawberry, whatever you like. What kind of yogurt do you guys like?
Vanilla.
Okay.
You know that Yoplait stuff? That's pretty good.
Oh, okay. Well, this recipe, what we're going to do is stick with vanilla. We're going to put about a fourth of a cup or so of honey in it. You wouldn't necessarily need the extra sweetness. It's definitely up to you. But I'm going to have one of you go ahead and start to stir that in. Okay, go ahead and stir that in. Very good. So we have a large cookie sheet today, but you could use a small cookie sheet. Again, you wouldn't have to use a full. This is a 32-ounce container. You could use smaller amounts. Do you like coconut? I always find people like it or don't like it.
It's like that I gave you that one time when I came back from California.
Okay, well,
You don't know?
I've already toasted it, so this just enhances the flavor. This is a great tip because with nuts in particular and coconut, when you toast them, the flavors come out, therefore you don't need as much of it.
Oh.
So it's a good way just to save money also.
Yeah, a little bit can go a long way.
Exactly.
I did not know that.
Okay, how are we doing?
Good.
All right, so I'm going to take this and we're just going to put it right on the cookie sheet. Now, I do have parchment paper down. If you don't have parchment paper, you can use wax paper. You could even use tin foil. You will want to put a barrier, though, in between your pan because in a little bit, we're going to break it up into pieces when it's frozen, which I'll show you that end result here in just a moment. Okay, now I'm going to have...
So otherwise it will stick to the pan.
It will stick.
Right?
Right. Yep.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to have you take this on that back side of that spoon and just start to, kind of spread it out to about almost all the way. Yep.
You guys like yogurt, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Are you guys yogurt fans? Meh.
For sure.
Yeah.
So Greek yogurt, that's what we're using tonight. Greek yogurt gives you a little bit more protein than traditional yogurt. How that happens is they take yogurt and strain it, and so what you have left is the higher protein and lower in carbohydrates. You're doing great. That's
I
perfect.
always think that's useful too. Like I know a lot of parents worry like my kid isn't getting enough protein, especially if they're not like a big meat eater. So I think that's an easy switch because most kids really like yogurt.
Yeah.
And I think that that's kind of like one of those easy mom hacks.
Yes.
Where you can just sneak a little bit more protein in and something that really is delicious and basically like a dessert or a snack.
Absolutely. Definitely. You're doing great. Okay.
Question.
Yeah.
Yes.
Does coconut have any kind of like health benefits to it? I guess I don't know.
It doesn't have much.
I was going to say, I don't know anything particular about coconut.
I'm new. I'm like, okay, does it, is there
More for flavor.
some kind of vitamins or something? I'm just curious.
So coconut water, if you get traditional coconut water, that would be without the sweetener added to it. It's high in potassium, it's high in electrolytes, so it's a great electrolyte replacement beverage. It's just sometimes...
Like nature's Gatorade.
Yes, it is. It is. But when we process it, then we add a little extra sugar to it.
Gotcha.
But, yeah. That's great.
That's a really good question, though.
That's great,
I never
girls.
really thought that much about coconut, or you don't hear of it as something in particular. So
That's
it's
good.
just for fun.
Okay, I think our girls have spread it out just beautifully. What we're going to do next is I'm going to have, what's your dominant hand?
This one.
Put that one on. What's your dominant hand?
The right one.
Put that on. Okay.
Fancy. All the words and everything.
All right, so one of you is going to sprinkle our blueberries across the way. Now, blueberries, Dr. Kristin, did you know, actually make your brain remember things better?
No, but I feel like I should eat more blueberries.
Take that. Exactly. Me too.
Right?
I can't remember
know
things.
that.
So
I know it's
Take
full
that
of
hand.
antioxidants. It's a really
Sprinkle.
good
Oh.
there
for
you go.
vitamins, but I had no idea about that.
Yes. They have a special antioxidant in them that helps with memory. And then you are going to get to
man.
put the raspberries. Now, I've already diced, go ahead. I've already diced up the raspberries. Raspberries are incredibly high in fiber, which is also a very important thing for all of us to have. I like to dice them up because I feel like if they're too big, then the bark just gets a little too mushy. I like the smaller pieces. You're doing great, girls.
Well, I think that adding that in too, I think for parents, a lot of times fiber is something we're looking for. I know a ton of kids that struggle with constipation and tummy issues, and so making sure that they're getting fiber in fun little ways like this can also be super helpful.
Exactly, and natural fiber sources. This is a good way for them to get a little extra fiber.
Do I just put it all on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh.
So this is again where you could get really creative. If you maybe you like mangoes, maybe you want to put bananas, whatever you like.
What's you guys' favorite fruit?
That's good.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, no, go.
Fruits.
Cantaloupe?
Pineapple is so good.
Oh, pineapple I think would be really good in this.
Yes. Oh, that'd be so good.
For sure.
So how we're going to finish this off, we are going to use some of the oats and honey. This is the higher protein Nature Valley granola. Another great way to sneak in fiber, another good way to sneak in some protein. So I'm just going to have you kind of sprinkle it around. You can take this and go like that. You can take it off.
Raspberry.
Yeah.
I was like,
What other good
juices.
what other good add-ins would you put in this? Like if you didn't have granola,
You could do a bite, crushed up pretzel sticks would be
Oh, yeah.
delicious. You could put almonds. You could put walnuts. Pistachios would be delicious.
Do like a healthy cereal or
Yes,
something? Like a
Cheerios.
or something?
oh yeah,
Doesn't that look amazing, girls?
that does look amazing.
Do you want me to put more granola on? This
no.
is granola, right?
Yep, you're good. I think you're good, girls.
I think what's fun about this too is it's like something that kids could make a lot of times on their own.
Yes.
I mean, older kids can use the oven and use knives and things like this, but even like a younger kid, maybe you're like first or second graders, kindergartners even, they can feel like they did this all by themselves, which I think is huge in getting kids excited about eating things that you want them to eat and just getting them involved in the kitchen.
All right, now the beauty of television is, voila, it's all
Yay,
done
you
for
already
us.
did it.
So I'm going to set this one back here. And then I'm going to get some gloves real quick.
This looks so good. I think so, yeah. So, of course, the chef always has to sample, right?
Yes. All right. Let me get this out of the way.
That looks delicious. Have you guys ever had anything like this?
One time I used to do Girl Scouts.
Oh, yeah.
We went to like a Walmart or something and made some sides.
It was HyVee?
Oh, that's cool.
It's probably one of the classes I've taught.
Probably. I knew you from somewhere.
Exactly. All right, so then when it's frozen, it literally just comes right off.
Oh my goodness.
And then you just start to break it into little pieces. And it's absolutely delicious. Again, you can keep this in the freezer and then just pull out a little piece when you want a little sweet treat. Or if you're, again, a quick breakfast on the run, you could eat this in the car.
This is like a complete breakfast, to be
Yes.
honest, which it seems like as you made it, it feels like a dessert.
Right.
But, like, that would be so quick and easy and fun. Like, I feel like if my kids would feel like they're getting like a
A
breakfast
dessert.
popsicle.
Yeah,
I feel like
exactly.
basically. So that's
Yes.
pretty cool. So after
fun.
you break it up, can you store it in a container
Yep.
too?
I just
So
put
it's
it at home. I just put it in some in the freezer. So I just put it in a gallon bag, and then just you can even put in individual little snack baggies if you want.
That's
But
awesome.
There we go.
I love it.
First recipe. All right, so next thing we're gonna make is a basil chicken salad.
Yum.
Who doesn't like chicken salad? But I love this recipe because you literally throw everything together. And so again, it's a great thing to have kids involved. So we have some fantastic helpers to come help us. So come on up.
All right, come join us, Lyric and Wesley.
Okay, you have to have your official apron on.
All right.
Yes, Wesley, this is your official apron to help us.
Looking good.
I'll tie you. All right, so just like our first recipe, this basil chicken salad, you can really modify to what your taste preferences are. So I know you love Shortcuts.
I do.
Shortcuts is a HyVee kind of a brand, I should say, and it is a way for us to save time.
Yep.
And this recipe is a great way to save time. So this is our rotisserie chicken that you get, the big rotisserie chickens, but it's already picked for you.
I love that because that's kind
Done.
of like, I feel like I love rotisserie chickens, but there is always a point at which I'm like, this feels gross, right?
Yeah.
Am I the only person like when you're picking all that off and you're kind of like, ugh?
Yeah, it gets sometimes you're
so
like,
useful.
ugh.
Time consumption.
Exactly.
To get all the good meat off of it.
Yes,
Yeah.
so this is all the good white meat. It's so delicious. So Lyric, if you want to throw it in here for me, please, just dump that in.
Okay.
Yep, the whole thing. There you go. The whole thing. So we are going to make, this is obviously a family meal, so great for lunches, great for dinner, great for leftovers. All right, so the next thing we're gonna add is grapes. Now Wesley, have you ever put grapes in with chicken before?
No.
It's kind of different, but it's a great way to add a little bit of contrast of flavor. So you get the savory with the sweet, okay? So I've already cut these up for us. So Wesley, I'm gonna have you dump maybe, here, you can just dump it. There you go. Let's do like half. That's probably good because they're really big grapes.
Do you like grapes?
Yeah.
I love grapes.
Good, good, good. Now the next thing we're gonna add is another shortcuts. And so I hate cutting onions. Do you?
I know, because then your hands stink all day and it's a lot of work. And you cry.
Exactly.
You ever cry when you...
Yes, and these are really strong. I had them sitting out before, and I thought, gosh, I could smell them from a distance. So we're going to use a little bit of onions, and just to give it a little extra flavor. So I'll just do it this one, okay? Because we don't want to go too much on onions. Okay, just a little bit there. All right, yeah, see, can you smell them? Very, very strong. We're going to set those guys back there.
I would say though too, like, I do love the shortcuts for sure, but if that isn't something you have,
Yogurt.
it's gonna be good, isn't it? I also think like cutting the onion once, because I used to be in the habit of like cutting my little bit of onion off and then leaving this little part. Just buckle down and cut that whole thing up for the week,
thing.
because you will thank yourself when it's
exactly.
like, all right, you'll throw
It's
that
done.
onion in when it's already
Yes.
cut up. When you
I-
see that little stump, you're like, ugh.
I buy the frozen chopped onions. Anyone else
yeah.
use those?
Yes.
Oh, they're the best things ever. Okay, the next thing we need is a little creaminess. But with chicken salad, usually it's mayonnaise, which isn't always the healthiest for us. So we are going to use plain Greek yogurt. Nice. So we used yogurt before. We're going to use yogurt again. Yogurt. It's a good way to get a little extra calcium. So I'm going to actually have both of you as I throw things on me. Perfect. I'm going to have one of you go ahead and pour that in for me. And then Wesley, we're going to have you do that. It is high protein, exactly. There you go.
You know lower, the sugar is relatively lower too.
Exactly. And this one is plain Greek yogurt.
Right, so it doesn't have like an added sugar.
Yep. Nope.
Kind of cheese.
Yeah, it comes a little.
So what do you parents feel like is like your biggest struggle on a weekday in getting dinner on the table?
Getting everybody to eat the same.
I love that you said that. And so like
5 children.
Great.
So
oh wow.
Here, I'll help you.
I think that can be super hard too, but then as a parent sometimes you feel like you don't want to feel like a short order cook, right? You're like, I just want to make one thing. But I get it. It's really hard because you want all your kids to have something that they can eat. You want everybody to leave the dinner table satisfied and not asking for something else 10 minutes after you get dinner put away. Like we've all been there. Mm-hmm. I do think that that's one of the nice things about these recipes is you can modify them for your family. Like you take the idea, but you're like, I know so-and-so isn't into apples.
Right.
Well, we leave the apples on the side or we leave them out, or you make a little bit before you add the apples in. So I love these kind of things that are very modifiable because I do think there's a lot of value, and it makes in all trying to eat the same thing or at least having something on the table that you know each member of the family will eat. But I also think, like you said, it makes dinner feel unmanageable when you're like, all right, you know, you eat the dino nuggies and you eat the pasta and I'll eat the chicken salad because I'm not going to eat dino nuggies and pasta every night. Yeah. So I love these kind of things like this where it's healthy, but it's like we can modify it to fit all of us.
And one thing I do with my family, because we all have our taste preferences, right? Mm-hmm. And that's okay. But what I like to tell my family is that, you know, that one meal maybe not be your favorite, but it may be someone else's favorite. And so we are going to eat all the same thing, and then maybe the next day it's more of your favorite, because this is what's for dinner, and this is what we're all going to eat. And I think that's important too, that everyone recognizes that it's okay if we like different things. 100%. We should still support mom or dad or whoever made the meal. So.
Yep.
All right, the next thing is our helpers already have the yogurt in.
Oh man, they're quick.
We have our diced apples. These are Honeycrisp apples, which this time of year, Honeycrisp apples are delicious.
Oh, yeah.
They're so good. And I will say, I cut this up, gosh, maybe an hour or two, 2 hours.
And look, it's not brown or anything. That's great.
So we're gonna add just a little bit of that in, and that again gives it nice fiber, gives good flavor. And then we are going to do some almonds. Everyone okay with almonds?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Wesley's in, I like it.
Go ahead and throw that in there for me. And the almonds give it a nice crunch. Also gives you those heart-healthy fats, which are very important. Let's do all of them. Let's do it.
Keeping tabs on you, Lyra. Is she doing this right?
That's good. Very good. And then, of course, we need some extra flavor.
Yeah.
Now, the good way to add extra flavor are fresh herbs and spices. So at HyVee, you get these little wonderful sleeves of these fresh herbs, or if you have your own garden, great way. I have some friends that say they have tons of basil right now.
Yes.
And that dill, lots of dill.
Is anybody a gardener? No?
Yeah.
Charlie?
Yeah. No. So we have dill and we have our basil, and they both smell great, right? How about you dump it in this time? It's your turn. Okay. Just dump it all. Just take that and dump it.
Herbs,
good.
If you're like nervous about having a garden, they're like, I feel like they're like edible weeds.
Oh,
I could be wrong.
yes.
I'm not like a plant person, but I have a garden, but I'm like the worst gardener. Like nothing grows, but the herbs, they grow like out of control.
They do.
Like you're like, oh, I'd love some basil. And then you're like, what's that tree out there growing in my yard? And you're like, that's the basil. And it's like, well,
salad.
Isn't that look good, delicious? Look at the colors
that looks
in there.
so good, doesn't it?
We're just going to keep blending this up.
Yeah.
Now, I kind of debated if I needed another amount of yogurt, but I think we're good. It's not overly, swimming in the creaminess of the yogurt. I like it a little bit more on the dry side. That's kind of my preference. But there is.
Oh, good eye.
But all these beautiful colors. That's another thing when we're talking about family meals is how, again, if maybe someone doesn't like what you made, have something that is familiar to them as far as a side dish. And so, apples to go along with maybe a new recipe. So it makes it a little bit more comfortable for the person that maybe is a little nervous to try some new recipes.
Yeah.
Now, how we would serve this at home, you could use whole wheat tortilla, you could use crackers. I love these pita pockets. So these pita pockets are whole grain, so a good way to get some extra fiber in them. But again, wraps are really fun for kids too and families.
Or you could just make a sandwich, right?
Oh,
Just
yes, absolutely.
whatever bread you've got at home.
That's it, guys. How simple.
Nice work. You guys did
So
it. I love
good.
it.
Yeah,
It's like so
good job.
easy, right?
Very good.
Thank you, guys.
Forgot to put a little salt and pepper.
Oh, yeah.
We gotta do a little salt and pepper.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. It was our first taping of the podcast with a real live audience. And I don't know about you guys, but I had tons of fun.
Yes.
So we wanted to make sure that we had the opportunity to help answer any questions that you guys might have about cooking, feeding kids, family meals, any of it. I know Wesley had a question. Should we come back? That's all right.
Is there a huge difference between frozen veggies? Like, those are the easiest, I'm sorry, they're just easy. Is there a huge difference between doing frozen?
I don't think,
No.
and
I mean, to me, no.
fresh?
I think it often can be way more cost effective, way more convenient, because the saddest thing is when you buy those vegetables and then you see them rot in your fridge and you're like, well, that was a huge waste. And they usually are, my understanding is like frozen vegetables, they pick them when they're like the ripest.
Exactly.
So they're kind of like at their best performance at the time that they've picked them and frozen them. And so 100% I would not balk at that if that seems more usable for you.
Especially in the wintertime too. Much more cost effective. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
And can you also like mix and match that other stuff that you need, like put other stuff in it, like how you put the grapes? Did you put like different stuff?
Chicken salad.
Yeah. What, like in there, like just like you can change the fruits. Like what are you
Raisins.
Yeah.
Some
Craisins.
peas.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So cashews.
All kinds of stuff in there.
Cashews would be good in there.
That was
Yeah.
my go-to,
Yeah.
but
good like as a dip?
Oh, yeah.
Some Triscuits with it. Be really good. Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah. I should say too, a family meals month. So with HyVee, it's a big month for us, especially as dietitians. So we actually have a variety of different classes and just services available for you guys for free this month. So we have our virtual freezer meal workshops that we host every single month. But this month they are free. They're usually $10. So you can do those in the comfort of your own home. Great way to get kids involved. But freezer meals are wonderful. You literally take it out of the freezer. It's prepped and ready to go. It's a quick, easy meal. And then we also have a special program called Begin for Families, and it's a four session type of nutrition education class for families. It's a great way just to learn more about nutrition, and I have all that information for you guys in your bags. And then I also have some more information in the back too. But again, as a HyVee dietitian, I just want to say thank you so much, Dr. Kristin. This was so great, and
I
thank
had a
you
great
guys
time.
for all being here. And as you can tell, hopefully you can tell our passions are very similar. So if you ever have questions, don't hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, please take advantage of the resources. Check out my podcast. Like I said, it's all just about, I want to just be assisting parents and helping this make a reality. I want to take the stress out of it. I want to just bring more joy and closeness to families. And I really think that family happens at the dinner table. And whatever we can do to sort of bring that stress out, meet ourselves where we are, give ourselves some grace, and just make progress from where we are, we're all going to be better for the journey.
Absolutely. That's great.
Where's the podcast on?
It's on everything. So I have it on Apple, Spotify, really everywhere that you get a podcast. And we can, oh yes. I also have a book that's coming out this spring, and it's called The Happier Meal, and it's how to enjoy your food and your kid. And it's the same ideas. So I really just want, I think as a parent myself, and even as a doctor, like I always say, I knew everything that a kid should eat before I had one, and I just couldn't understand why parents couldn't just feed their kids what they're supposed to eat. And then I had a kid and I was like, geez, this is really hard, right? And so I always say too that like having a kid was probably the best pediatric training I ever had in my life, because I realized that's not realistic, and we need to like meet families where we are. And then the more I did the research on the real value comes in the family meal, and what you eat actually improves almost just organically when you start carving that time out together. And so I really wanted to provide these resources for parents to just don't be stressed. You're doing great. The fact that you're even here is because you care, right? And that's gonna get you through all these struggles. Just keep in mind, like, you're doing good. The broccoli doesn't matter. We'll get there. Yeah.
Out of the 2 recipes you made, which one do you recommend more?
Ooh. Oh, I don't know, because they were both so delicious. I feel like for nutritionally, I think they're both fabulous. So I wouldn't say like definitely this one's healthier than the other. I think they both have a place in a totally healthy diet. For me personally, I would probably lean more, I'm more of a savory gal, so I'd probably lean more toward the chicken. But I would say, not being as into sweets, that yogurt thing was delicious. That is making it into the rotation for sure.
I love that.
That wasn't a real answer, but.
And it's kind of the question I often get with people say, well, what's the healthiest food group? I get that question all the time. And I say all of them work together. So for example, each one of those recipes provided you different nutrition. And so when you eat a healthy, balanced diet with a variety of different foods, you're getting a variety of different nutrients.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for coming. This was amazing, and I really appreciate it. And I hope you know HyVee, our podcast, my book coming out. We really just want to make sure that you guys are aware there's definitely resources here to help you guys make these family meals a reality.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us for the Season 3 premiere. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode, and we'll see you here next time.